No, not in a formal setting.
Yes, right now I'm in Great Discoveries of Archaeology. I learn about things like Stonehenge and cave art, and we watch a lot of movies.
It just didn't line up either with my schedule. I never really looked into it, but it never really lined up with my, as far as I knew, with my history major or with what I was doing. And I took a lot of teaching in econ classes as well, so I didn't have a lot of free time.
I haven't. I'm not sure that I know we had archaeology classes, but it sounds enticing.
I actually took an archaeology class for my ISB credit for the Honors College, but pretty much all I remember from it was that they did a renovation of the old hall at MSU and that you get really dirty doing archaeology, and it was freshman year, so.
I took a class my freshman year, and I remember the basic terms like a feature and an artifact and stuff like that.
I am. It is. I want to just say Indiana Jones, but it's you know, using actually like digging in the dirt, finding artifacts to learn about, you know, the way, I guess, you know, depending on what you're studying, humans or animals, or using artifacts that you find in the dirt to learn about history or the way people lived. That's what I'm going with.
I'm not very familiar with archaeology, other than the fact that Jurassic Park was centered around it, and I know they dig up dinosaur bones, and I really wanted to go to archaeology camp as a youngster, but never really had the money, so.
When I was younger, my favorite movie was Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I really wanted to be an archaeologist after watching that movie because he was pretty badass.
Archaeology, it's kind of this trying to figure out cultures, you know, that are long gone through their remnants through bones, architecture, pottery, art, that sort of thing, paintings.
I don't know very much. I took an ISS class on it my freshman year, and that's about all I got out of it. I didn't really enjoy the class, to be honest.
Archaeology, I know pretty much from an old roommate that was an archaeology major. Just a little bit as she would talk about the classes that she takes, just learning about old cultures and old civilizations. And then I guess what we see in Indiana Jones is being an archaeologist.
So like I said, you know, you have your Indiana Jones, like, or you know, Egyptian mummies, right? That's archaeology, going in and trying to discover the past by the evidence that's there. You know, it's. I keep thinking paleontology, which is dinosaurs, but archaeology, you know, is they actually did on campus over by the museum. They were digging up one of the original dormitories. So that's archaeology of, you know, digging, finding these artifacts, these little pieces of rock or tools or items that people used, and using them to help us learn about what was going on.
The only thing I know about archaeology I've learned from the TV show Bones.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I really don't know much about archaeology at all. It's like the study of basically like humans and how they've progressed in life and some of the different like cultures and subcultures, and that's really all I know. And I don't even know if that's really true.
Everyone has their like specializations that they like more, and there's definitely a ton of people that like history. So I feel like if they appreciate history, they would appreciate archaeology as well, because it has a lot to do with learning history. But it just depends on the type of people that you get and what their passions for, and what their specializations for.
In my opinion, no. Maybe because there's not much about it. Like, I couldn't even really tell you a real definition of it.
You know, I don't think so, and it's kind of unfortunate because it definitely is something that's really interesting. And as to why not, I just think that sometimes we lose touch of how important history can be, and like this is like our love for humanity almost, and like this is where we were, this is where we are. Oh my God, look at all this change. So yeah, so that's probably why we need to maybe get back more into appreciation for ourselves as humans. So.
I don't think many people are into it. Most people are on Facebook, and Facebook doesn't have too many archaeology games.
I think it depends on the person. I think that it takes like a special kind of person to really be able to like have the patience that goes into excavating, and they need the interest in the past and learning about the types of people that lived and how they lived. So it really just depends on the person.
Overall, no. I think like most people know about archaeology is just like what they see in movies, like digging up dinosaurs and fossils and stuff, and that's like a really small part of archaeology, and so I feel like people don't know anything about that at all.
Unfortunately, I don't think they do, which is sad because I think we can learn a lot from our past and the history, and we need more active youth in archaeology.
They go, oh yeah, Indiana Jones, like Temple of Doom, running around, finding the Ark, fighting Nazis. That's archaeology, right? I think like that and King Tut. That's the extent to what people think about it.
No, I don't really think it's taught very much unless it's like a small lesson in a K through 12 class. So I don't really think beyond the basic of what it is and what you can see on TV shows like Bones or like CSI and the forensic side of it. I don't think you know anything more than that.
I think if it was more maybe targeted towards our age group, because I mean everyone gets involved in politics because they want to change the world and whatever else nonsense, but I don't think archaeology really has had that sphere, and I think if people realize that they could discover an unknown species or make a difference by, who knows, maybe finding a cure with dinosaur bones. You never know, So I think they just need to kind of maybe bring it more to life.
I'd say start at a younger age, maybe like with kids, having kids at camps do stuff, because I think that lots of times when you're exposed to it when you're younger, and like when you're older, you're like, oh, I remember I did this archaeology thing back in the day. Because I know in my experience, I actually did a camp that we did some local archaeology stuff and like research and findings, and it was really interesting. And unfortunately in my case, it didn't transfer into me wanting to learn more, but I think that would be a good place to start.
I think the media would do a lot to help that, such as more movies like Indiana Jones, or also like showing the more fun side of it and not the boring, time-consuming side of like more like focusing on like the finds rather than the excavation itself.
I guess I don't know if they already do this, but speaking just from a campus perspective, like the archaeology club at MSU can go to like participation or just make their presence more well known on campus. But then like in general, I don't really know how you do it except for if they like taught more in high school about archaeology to get people more like knowledgeable about it. But I don't have any specific ideas.
It's not in our news. It's not, it's not something that's sexy that goes on the nightly news. It's not on Facebook. So we don't think about it because it's not in our face.
I mean, I think just showcasing it and like, I don't know if the movies for Indiana Jones is real archaeology, but I feel like those type of things where you're showing it in entertainment and having people go to the movies, for example, to see like, oh, this is what archaeology is about. Because if you just have seminars and people are just gonna sit in a room and listen, or classes, it might not generate as much excitement for people. So you got to find a way to make it exciting for people. Maybe do fun classes where you're you're not just learning when you're like digging for bones. You're not just learning about like from a textbook, but you're actually doing it and just generating more excitement for it of being like a really cool like part of classes.
Maybe make archaeology more known about. Yeah, I guess even media, TV shows, which sounds sad, but I think that would happen for people.
But I think if there was more about it and made it more entertaining, I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but first of all, getting it out there and what it truly is and what like you can find from it and what you can gain from doing it, I think that would really open up the field.
Think about it.
Do you